Al Gore, will he debate you?
He won't. We advertised right across America for months in all the major newspapers saying, "Come on, Al, baby, I'm waiting." And he would not even give us an answer. He was terrified. Of course, his speaker's contract specifies not only his usual $300,000 fee.
Good Lord.
And you're not even paying me half of that.
No, not even. You do get some coffee.
But yeah, we get some coffee, but $300,000. On top of that, he will not take any unscripted question. He will not be interviewed by anyone from the media unless his staff have cleared them first, and the only ones they clear are so dumb and sycophantic that they will only ask questions that he can answer, which isn't very many of them, like, "What's your name?" Anything beyond that, and he's foxed. So of course he won't debate with me. Just a single element in this debate. Was it or was it not warmer in the Middle Ages worldwide than it is today? On that question, 700 scientists from more than 400 institutions in more than 40 countries in the last 20 years have contributed to papers that I know about and can on notice list, saying that the medieval warm period, which is well known in history and archaeology, as it is in climate science, was real, was global, and was noticeably warmer than the present, so that there's nothing special about today's temperatures. That, if you like, is the consensus on the medieval warm period. That's just one area of the science that I've just picked out to illustrate that on that one subject, the supposed official view, which is that they've abolished the medieval warm period, is not the consensus. There's a handful of scientists only who have contributed to papers, all of them based on bogus computer models, which has been the devil in this debate, saying that the medieval warm period wasn't real. All of them were relatives and friends and co-authors of the people who wrote the original paper trying to pretend there wasn't a medieval warm period. And so, if you like, the scientific community has become, at least in part, corrupted by the desire to get alongside the sources of funding. And these days, 99% of all science is funded by you and me, the taxpayer, via governments. And therefore, if you want these days to investigate the strange habits of the lesser spotted talk show host, let us say, as a category, and I apply for a grant, you know, from an anthropology department to put you under a microscope and have a really good look at what makes you tick, I won't get the grant unless I add the magic voodoo words in the context of global warming. Immediately. They'll be throwing millions, if not even billions, at me to do this. So there's an enormous funding bias in science caused by the fact that science is what we economists call a monopsony. There's only one paying customer, and that's the taxpayer via governments. And that colours science in numerous rather depressing ways, not least on the global warming issue, where governments have now largely decided that for reasons of their own political expediency and convenience and profit, they should seize upon this and go around saying global warming is the big issue, because it suddenly makes politicians feel important, because at last there's something they can really get their teeth into, and they can save us from ourselves by savage increases in taxation, wholesale closing down of industries they disapprove of, and also, of course, mindless regulation of what kind of car you can drive, what kind of fuel you can use, how often you can turn your lights on, and even in the UK and Europe, ludicrously now, what kind of light bulbs you can have. And they've told us we have to have a light bulb which, if you drop it, costs $3,000 and a specialist team to come out and clean it up because it's full of poisonous mercury gas, which can kill you if you breathe it in. And this is now the mandatory replacement for all the incandescent bulbs, which you can actually read by, whereas these ghastly fluorescent mercury things, they put out a light which is extremely uncomfortable on the eyes, and it's going to cause an even greater dumbing down of the population than has happened already. They won't be able to read at all.
So, children in North America, children in Canada are taught now. They actually will come home and tell mummy and daddy what they're supposed to believe, and there have even been some extreme cases of denouncing parents who won't turn their lights off at the right time.
Oh yes, we're straight back into communist territory.
Well,
you know, sort of,
so we're told that unless we change radically, the climate will change to such a degree the North will disappear, there'll be mass melting, we won't be able to feed ourselves, and the world eventually will end. Hollywood movies are made to back it up culturally, talk show hosts and so on will echo this. And to dissent from this, and I find this terribly sinister, you become a denier. And the only time that really has been used has been to describe Holocaust deniers who are either mad or evil. So if you question it, you are just like a Nazi.
And so if I were to say that Al Gore et hoc genus omne were Nazis for refusing to debate and allow free speech, that would be unforgivable. But they can call us Nazis by calling us deniers, and everybody merely parrots it and repeats it. So once again, we see an extraordinary double standard in the media, by which if I were to use any such language, they would say, oh, you know, it makes you shiver, it's so extreme. But if they say it, oh, well, you know, that's a fair comment. So it is definitely very, very biased. But in the end, there's a very, very old philosophical principle at stake here, and that is that the truth is the truth is the truth, however many lies are told, however many people tell the lies, and however important the people who tell the lies conceive themselves to be.